Kia ora, good morning. Kei te pihi a koe. How are you today? So today I thought I would talk to you about pendulums and how they work, the science behind pendulums, so that you can't ever be fooled into thinking that it's ghosts or spirits manipulating your pendulum swing. So first off, this is my pendulum buddy, but I also, being Indigenous, I wear my greenstone all the time. So we can also use our greenstones and our bone carvings that we wear around our necks as pendulums as well. And I have often had to use my greenstone as a pendulum temporarily when I've gone to places and been caught off guard where I've needed to do a cleansing of the energy in the place that I'm in. But this is my actual pendulum, and I've had him since 1999. This is Buddy. He was in my window, and my teacher came over from Australia, and she saw him, and she said, "That's your pendulum." And I've had him ever since. Now, your pendulum, you never ever go out and buy your own pendulum. You must be given your pendulum by an elder, or they must approve your pendulum before you use it. Metaphysics is one of those sciences that if you get it wrong, it can actually be quite dangerous for you. If you gauge energy wrong, it can have quite serious consequences, from things like financial losses, relationship breakups, arguing, paranoia, a decrease in health, a decrease in happiness, just gloomy, dark things. Because with my students, I always get them when they're getting used to when they're tuning themselves into their pendulum, I always get them to use their pendulums to read all the organic objects in their house. So anything that's made of wood, anything that's made of glass, stone, rock, shell, that sort of thing. And I get them to go around and do the yes, no on the objects in that, and then they have to remove everything that the pendulum says no to, because it means it is of a lower frequency or a denser frequency than everything else in that person's home and core and outer territory. Now, how I'm going to explain it, this is how I understand it to be. I don't know what anybody else in science says, but this is what I was told. This is how I was taught it. Just a minute, I'm going to sneeze. So, if you imagine atoms, or the energy that is generated in and around an atom, you have like a outer territory and a core territory. The outer territory is called biomagnetic, and that is responsible for attracting and deflecting energy to and away from you, depending on how much alike you are. Because energy is magnetic and like attracts like, your biomagnetic frequency is responsible for gauging what is and isn't allowed between your outer space and your personal space. If you imagine standing inside a Zorb ball, or wrapping yourself up in about 20 foot of bubble wrap, okay? So your outer territory is your biomagnetic frequency, and that would be the outside, the outer rim of the Zorb ball or the bubble wrap. Your biometric frequency is between the outer territory and the core territory or inner territory, which is your personal space, which is the energy between the outside world and your core, your soul, your gut, your intuition, your instinct. Everything that is instinctual and intuitive comes from being able to measure correctly your biometric frequency. And how your biometric frequency gains its transmissions or gains its information as to whether to do the fight, flight, or freeze response is by what signals it picks up at the top of your head. Because if you imagine you standing in the Zorb ball, and the Zorb ball has a hole at the top, and the sun beats down its light into the hole at the top of the Zorb ball, that would be your the negative and positive ionic particles in and around Earth's atmosphere, sending signals to your brain to tell you what to think, feel, and how to react based on the information that is inside those particles as it is being transmitted to your biometric frequency that swirls around your head, which is switched on by your pineal gland in the center of your brain. So your psychic eye, your third eye, whatever you want to call it, the eye of Horus, that kind of, your pineal gland is responsible for what you pick up and how strong the signal is as to whether it will be in alignment with your instincts and your intuition. So if you are being fed the wrong information, your body will react in different ways according to the information that has been fed to your mind through the frequency being picked up by your pineal gland, which is why it's so important that we take really good care of our pineal glands, because the more calcification your pineal gland is, the worse your intuition is, and the more you will sway from your destined path and get yourself into trouble and end up creating karma for yourself because you didn't trust your instincts or follow your intuition, and then of course that leads you into trouble with making wrong life choices and that. So what happens is that if you look at an atom as being an atom being made up of time, gravity, magnetism, momentum, and balance, and then consciousness is in the middle. Now, I say that all atoms are conscious because of the fact that all atoms know exactly where they're going and what they're doing, as sure as fungus knows exactly where to go to find a food source, an atom knows exactly what it's doing and its intended purpose and target, even though it is evolving as it gathers momentum and speed to travel through time in order to evolve itself biologically. So the evolution of an atom is as biological as the evolution of mankind and trees, and it has to be biological, otherwise it's not organic and it's not evolution. You cannot say something is evolutionary if it has been tampered with. Nature must be responsible for how atoms and genes and bacteria and cells evolve. So what happens is, if you're around people, you're at work, you're at school, you're in town, you're at the store, you're around friends, you're around family members, and people are experiencing things in their lives that you're picking up on, it pulls your frequency down, because gravity in an atom is heavier than time and momentum. So it pulls and slows everything down and pulls down on your energy. So it would be like taking custard and pouring it into the hole at the top of the Zorb ball, so that when you were moving around, you were all thick and heavy and sluggish and, lacked momentum and lacked drive and lacked energy and lacked force in order to push yourself forward and raise your vibration. That's what happens when you absorb the energy of someone or something around you that is of a lower frequency. Energy that has a lower frequency is denser and heavier in gravity. And what you need to do is you need to raise the momentum. You need to raise the vibration so that you can push momentum in an atom forward, so that it moves time forward using magnetism around your body to push the negative energy away from you, so that you can only draw high vibration energy and be fed high vibration energy, because you're pushing the dense energy away using magnetism to push momentum forward. It is like taking a broom and sweeping all the dust away from your body so that the dirt can't touch you. And then it means that wherever you stand is nice and crisp and clean and clear floor for you to walk on where you're not having to get your feet dirty. That's exactly what energy's like when you're around the wrong people, or you're not dealing with situations right, or you are in a building where something negative has happened, where you can feel that pull when you walk into the building. You feel that heaviness. You feel the somberness when you walk into the room, because we are atomic, because we are biological. You know, when our hair stands on end, when we get that sadness in our gut, you know, that is us picking up on something that's happened that has pulled the energy of the room down to such a point where you're physically feeling it. We physically feel gravity when it is below the vibration of our conscious mind. So when we are high vibration and happy, gravity doesn't affect us as much, which is why you feel like you're walking on air. Why when you're really happy you feel like you're floating, because you don't feel the effects of gravity, because you're so high vibration. You negative energy can't touch you. I always say to my students, the underworld can't touch the creation frequency, because it doesn't have enough, it's too heavy in gravity to be able to reach the creation frequency, which is what the consciousness of an atom is generated by. It can't touch it because there's too much gravity weighing it down, whereas a creation frequency, or the energy inside consciousness, doesn't have any gravity. It's so light that there is no gravity. So where the pendulum comes in is this will tell you how dense the gravity is around your inner and core territory. So in the room that you're in, as well as your personal space, you can use your pendulum to go over your body. You can use your pendulum to cleanse a room, a building, a battlefield, a hospital. You use your pendulum for gauging the energy of anywhere that is of a lower frequency than what is swirling around your beautiful little body. And then it tells you when that energy is gone once you are able to fix it. So what you would do, I can't do it right now because I have to hold my phone, but what you do is you would hold your pendulum up over your left hand. And it is really, really important that you hold it over your left hand, because that is connected to your heart, and your heart must be pure when you use occult objects like pendulums. So you hold your pendulum straight out. Your arm must be straight out like that, and you hold it over your left hand, which is also to be straight out, so that your hands, if you were to look at you from the side, it looks like you're a cone like that. So your arms would be outstretched with your pendulum dangling there over that hand, and it would look like that would be your tummy there, okay, and your head would be up here. So that's you holding your arms out straight like a horn. And then what happens is the pendulum hangs down there and reads the energy between what is there and what is here, and tells you whether it is positive or negative or not. So you would hold the pendulum over your left hand and you would say, pendulum, which way would you like to swing for yes? And then it reads that energy between your gut and your outer territory, and it says, I would like to let you know that if something is negative, that's strong, sorry, I would like to let you know that if something is positive, I'm going to swing up and down. Okay, thank you, pendulum, stop. Stop, thank you. Okay, now pendulum, which way would you like to swing for no? And it's saying, to let you know that something is no, I'm going to swing on an angle left to right. Okay, so then what you would do is you will go into the room where you are feeling the negative energy, and you would say, is there any negative energy in this room? And if it swings yes, what you do is you stand here with your pendulum out, with your left hand moved away, and you just slowly start turning, slowly start turning in a clockwise motion until your pendulum starts swinging no. And what happens is it works like a push-pull effect. So as this pendulum is gauging the energy between your outer and inner territory, it is pushing positive energy towards you and pulling negative energy away from you. It is pulling positive frequencies, or the negative ion particles in the atmosphere that is all light and of a higher vibration than the positive ion particles. It pulls it towards you and then pushes the negative ones away. So it has like a push-pull effect while it is letting you know how safe the energy is around your inner and core territory. And then you just keep slowly turning in a clockwise position until the pendulum says no, there's no more negative energy, and then that's you done. It's that simple. You can do it on a person, you can do it in a room, in a battlefield, anywhere where you feel negative energy. Also as well, you can use it for yourself if you're having a really rough day and you're coming home from work or you're utterly exhausted but you don't know why, you just feel drained. Just use that on yourself in the exact same way, and it will absolutely transform the way that you see the day, and you can use your pendulum anytime for that reason. Now, what I need to tell people is it's not the dead that move pendulums. It is all to do with metaphysics, energy, biomagnetism, biometrics, physics. So don't let people fool you into thinking that the dead are talking to you through pendulums, because they don't. Also, you must only ever use your pendulum for things like finding lost objects and things that are yes, no in result, but you must never ever anticipate or expect the outcome, because you can make the pendulum move using your own mind. You can change the outcome of the pendulum using your mind, because the mind is a very powerful tool. And when you're in the frequency of working with your pendulum, you're opening your receptors up, which makes you more able to manipulate energy, which you can't do, because if you do it wrong and you don't know what you're doing, it can be catastrophic in effect, and as a result you would see horrendous karma for it. So you must be careful. So you never ever use your pendulum for anything other than yes no questions, like I just told you. Is the room positive or negative? Is the energy positive or negative? That sort of thing. Has the energy gone? Has the person been removed? Whatever, you know what I mean. Only yes no when it comes to the gauging of energy. And also you can use it to find lost objects by drawing out a grid of where you think you lost the object and using your pendulum for that. And apart from that, it should never ever be used for anything else other than gauging negative and positive energy. That's it. That's it. And like I said, the lost objects, you can use it for that. Do not ever use your pendulum for making predictions and reading for people, ever, because you can manipulate the outcome. Just like seances and Ouija boards, pendulums work the exact same way. If you don't know what you're doing, you can control the outcome, which would make you relying on false prophecy, which would, like I said, have energetic consequences that could be far-reaching if you don't know what you're doing. So anyway, I just thought I would give you that little tutorial. Like I said, this is how I was taught to understand it. I am self-taught in all of this. I had to learn it as I went along, because I needed to understand the science behind why pendulums worked the way they did. And my teacher passed away in 2014, so I can't ask her. So anyway, I hope that helped. And if you have any questions, you know where I am. Have a beautiful day, and ka kite anō.